A very good day to one and all. The topic that I'll be talking about today are vascular anomalies. So this is a topic which is common to both pediatrics and adults. But the difference is that certain vascular anomalies are more common in the pediatric age group when compared to the adults. So we'll be now concentrating more on those vascular anomalies which are more common among the pediatric age group. So vascular anomalies is a broad terminology which includes two important components. One would be vascular tumors and second are vascular malformations. So there is a difference between a vascular tumor and a vascular malformation. So a vascular tumor, basic difference is when what happens to the endothelium. Vascular tumor is associated with hyperplasia of the endothelium, whereas vascular malformation, there is angiodysmorphogenesis, but the endothelium remains normal. So the difference between a vascular tumor and a vascular malformation is basically how the endothelium is, how it behaves, whether there is a hyperplasia or not. If there is a hyperplasia of the endothelium, it's a vascular tumor. If there is no hyperplasia, but there is just angiodysmorphogenesis, okay, that is abnormal vasculature, then it is a vascular malformation. So classification of vascular anomalies can be, like I said earlier, into tumors and malformations. So under tumors, we have hemangiomas. Under hemangiomas, we have infantile hemangiomas, congenital hemangioma, capaciform hemangioendothelioma, capaciform lymphatic anomaly or KLA as it's called, tufted angiomas, cutaneovisceral angiomatosis with thrombocytopenia, angiosarcoma, Kaposi sarcoma, and pyogenic granuloma. Under malformations, we have slow flow and fast flow complex anomalies. So slow flow malformations include capillary, lymphatic malformations, and venous malformations. Fast flow includes arteriovenous fistula, arteriovenous malformations, or AV malformations as they are called. Complex combined malformations include capillary lymphatico-venous malformations, also called Kippel-Trenoni disease, capillary arteriovenous malformations called Parkes-Weber disease, lymphatico-venous malformations, and rare syndromes. Today we'll be discussing in detail regarding the various tumors associated with children, basically vascular tumors associated with children. So, find that most important such vascular tumor in children is an infantile hemangioma. It is nothing but a benign proliferation of the endothelial cells. It is the most common tumor of infancy, and fair-skinned individuals seem to have a higher incidence of infantile hemangiomas. Certain literature reports incidence as high as 10% among fair-skinned individuals. So obviously it means that it is lower, incidence is lower in dark-skinned individuals. There is a definite female preponderance, and it is said to occur more commonly among extremely low birth weight babies. That is, those babies who are born with a birth weight of less than 1 kilogram. The incidence is as high as 23%. So they can be single or multiple. Most commonly they are single, 60 to 70% of cases, and most commonly involving the head and neck region, sometimes at extremities, trunk, external genitalia, etc. Okay. The word infantile hemangioma itself means that it occurs during infancy. So it generally is noticed by the parents 1 to 2 weeks after the delivery of the child. And majority of them are usually localized to one particular area. 90% of them are localized to one particular area, and especially these lesions are usually not disfiguring or do they hinder mobility and movements. So, an infantile hemangioma has a definite life cycle. It undergoes 3 important phases. One is a proliferative phase. So, as soon as the child is born, develops an infantile hemangioma 1 to 2 weeks after delivery, it looks bright red, especially if it's a superficial hemangioma. Suppose it's a deep-seated hemangioma, it might have a bluish hue because of the skin overlying it. So it rapidly increases in size after it is noticed for a period of around 10 to 12 months. After 10 to 12 months, this process of rapid increase in size or proliferation, as we call, slows down, and it enters what is called as the involuting phase. So involuting phase is characterized by the lesion itself becoming paler. There will be a central hue noted, or central paler will be more pronounced in the center of the lesion. The lesion itself deflates a lot, and you find that the skin changes tend to become much lesser subsequently, and it does not increase in size. After this involuting phase varies, the duration of this involuting phase varies, and hence that's why I have not written the exact time duration of it. It is generally said to extend until 10 to 12 years sometimes. It takes 10 to 12 years for involuting phase to get over with. 50% of children tend to complete involution by around 5 years. 70% of them tend to have involution by around 7 years. And almost all of them enter into the last involuted phase by around 10 to 12 years. So once it enters into the involuted phase, it can either completely normalize, which occurs in about 50% cases. The skin can become completely normal, or in areas which have a lot of lax skin. For example, if you're dealing with a lesion, like in this case, an eyelid lesion which was pretty big for that particular lower eyelid and the child. So in such cases where there's a lot of lax skin, you find that this lax skin or dead space tend to get occupied by fibrofatty tissue. So it might, after the lesion is involuted, you might have a remnant fibrofatty residuum is called. So this is that fibrofatty residuum. So this is not a hemangioma anymore. It is basically a fat deposition which occurs in a dead space that is there. So these are the three important phases.